All right, guys, we are now live streaming. So we are recording this class tonight. You can find it on our YouTube, DCI Education Group. And if I have not been navigating you to that YouTube, I will be showing you how to get there today to see our library of classes. But let me prepare to share the screen. It is now 10:11. We like to get started as early as 10:10, but it's 10:11. So we're right on track. Good to have you guys here today. Let's begin to go into this end phase of nails, beginning of state board prep. So excited. We're going to go into our cosmetology portal. And let's come down. I want to give you some instructions. Okay, let's come down. We're going to move into liquid and powder enhancements, and then light cured gels. That'll be the close of these particular chapters. But we are going to jump into chapter 5, infection control. Okay. So after we review the nail chapter, the first chapter of state board prep is going to be in chapter 5, foundations, infection control. I want you guys to take a note. Okay. Chapter 5, foundations, infection control. Also, for those students who are preparing to finish the program, okay, which means everybody on here, I want put in the chat if you have completed a domestic violence certification. Yes or no? Put it in the chat if you have completed a domestic violence certification. Yes or no? And the whole time you've been in school, have you completed domestic violence certification? Okay. Okay, we have homework today. Okay. For the state of Tennessee, all right, you guys are going into licensure. In order for you to, for me to send you on off, I'll close out all of your hours. You got to have that domestic violence certification. It is like a 30-minute. Okay, P said yes. Um, if you can find a certificate, did you send me the certificate already, P, of completion? If you can find a certificate, send it over to me so we can file it. If you've already sent it over, it'll be in the email and I can just pull it out of there. Okay, send it over, DCI Cosmo at gmail.com. We're just getting your documents in order, okay? Um, the first certification, so Mackenzie, you need to do that domestic violence certification. It pretty much be your homework for this week. I'm gonna give you a link of where to go to complete it. You gotta have that when you get ready to take your test. Tennessee has it. Honestly, guys, once it's documented, it's in there. It was only for a set amount of time, but they want that updated. So once you get your license and then you have to renew your license, they may ask you every other year to redo the certification. Okay. Which is like a 30-minute certification. You get an award, completion of certification you can put on your wall. Or if you're in school, we need to have it because if they ever, come and audit us and it's coming up and pull your file, we would need to show that you have completed that certification if you have completed hours with us. So we'll do that. And so we're going to move into infection control because we know infection control is 25% of your exam. And that's going to be the first part that we start to break down. Also, if you have not completed your certifications for infection control, such as your Barbicide certifications, those you will be moving into those as well. We have some other disinfectant training certifications as well. So it's like 2 sets of certifications for next week. I'm excited about it. Um, it's always good to be prepared and even more prepared. So depending on what brand you decide to go with, as far as using in the salon, you will be knowledgeable of at least the major brands. And most of the time, the major brands will offer you as a student and professional discounts cheaper than what you'll find your disinfectants in the store. So I'm excited about just opening you up to that world as well. Okay. We'll come back to that before we leave today. But let's get ready to go into liquid and powder nail enhancements. Did you complete your project yet, P? You can go in the chat. Your collage. I know it's not due to tomorrow. Just making sure you work on it. Okay, you putting the finishing touches on it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, guys, we are in liquid and powder nail enhancements. Then we'll be on cured nails. You guys do have a portion of nails in your exam, okay? So this is why we're gonna double back always on nails, always on skin, because you have a portion of it on your exam. The number one thing I need you to look for when it comes to the nail components on the exam, I want you to look for procedures and protocols. They also call them applications, okay? How to apply the product. We're going to focus on videos, and also we're going to focus on the slide presentation and flashcards. When it comes to nails, sometimes you may have terms you're really not familiar with. So we want to get familiar with the terms, especially, when you see monoacrylic and things of that nature. We want to be able to pronounce those, because when we see them on an exam, we can kind of gauge and give some relation to whether the question is talking about this or not. Sometimes some questions can be a little tricky, so we want to make sure we understand what we're reading. That's all I'm getting at. Even if you were a history major, you were going to be a teacher, whatever you were going to be, I'm always stressing, learn the terms so you can understand what the question is asking. Okay. It just gives you a better chance of getting the question right, period. All right. So let's look. We have ebook here. I'm probably going to light up the ebook with some key areas. So definitely, I don't know if we went over SEMA yesterday, but SEMA is your portal for the new student that is on. All right. You'll go into each chapter. Today, we're going to be in chapter 23, and we're closing out the textbook. 23 and 24 will be the end of the textbook, and then we just start it back over. Okay. We have an emphasis on preparation for the state board exam. But more importantly, I want to make sure you understand. All right. I want to make sure you understand what you are doing, and anything that we do, we have to have great understanding. All right. So this section does have some pretty great videos. It is talking about your monomer and your polymer. This is your nails, Nail enhancements have gone a long way. Even today, I'm looking at my nails. I prefer an acrylic instead of a dip. I prefer you to build my acrylic base. Maybe I'm just old school, but I've shared with you my shape. I like my polish. P, do you remember what polish I like? It never changed. It's been that way for years, years and years, probably 6 or 7 years, maybe 7 years. Since I've had the school, I've only had one polish on my toe and one polish on my nails. That's crazy, right? I need to do something different. I like a bubble bath on my nails, and I like a alpine white or a white on my toes. Period. Okay. And I choose things like that because I just want to get in and out. You know, I don't want to think about another color. I don't want to think about it. And I usually get like a gel shellac overlay because I really mess up my nails before I leave. So something, it's a no-brainer that doesn't mess up your nails. Hey, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. But we're going to be talking about the liquid and powder. Most of us have had experiences in nail enhancements and the liquid and powder. We probably have seen it when we were younger. It has the nails and nail enhancements, acrylic nails. That's what I'm gonna call it. Acrylic nails has evolved. We've seen them heavy, we've seen them light, we've seen them medium. There's so many nail companies. All right, there are so many nail supply companies out there. That's what we're going to kind of identify with a little bit tomorrow. What are the companies that are producing this and leading? Okay. And a lot of time when it gets to powder and liquid, it is not your most popular companies. You would think everybody wears OPI, not necessarily. It is just one of those major brands. You will also think a lot of people wear C&D. Not necessarily. Again, it's just one of those popular brands, okay? I've learned that even when I go to shows, one show, and I think, it wasn't San Antonio. I think it was Orlando. I was leaving this show, very, very big show, and I was coming out the door, and it was this guy. He was Japanese. He was dressed in the full Japanese, attire, king like attire. And his nails were very stiletto, very long, very, artistic. And he had a microphone on. He was in full costume. He was teaching them how to lay the acrylic for stiletto nails. And when I tell you, he had people standing up, sitting down on the floor. They were just, you could hear a pin drop. Okay. And this was a loud place, but right where he was, it was so, so quiet. Like nails has literally crept in and become one of those things that's like really competitive with hair. A lot of people who are cosmetologists, spoke to one yesterday that prefers to do nails. And so he was performing these nail services, and the way he was talking and applying it, it just really was drawing people in. So we have evolved even in training and education. Yes, there were some theater aspects, because that brings attention. But I said he must be a very well-known influencer or educator. And they said he was, very famous influencer. And he was there. They were at attention. When I say they were at attention, they were at attention to get to watch him perform those nail services. And when I see crowds like that hold that type of attention, I don't just limit myself to just doing hair. I say, okay, what are the options that may open up for me to also perform nail services? When I was a cosmetologist starting out, I was very heavy in doing extensions and things like that. I would just got bored. And I said, well, the next thing I'm going to do, because I teach too, I said, well, I'm going to learn nails because I know nails is coming around that I have to teach it. So I got to make sure I know what I'm talking about. So I would be in a salon, I'd be in school, I'd be teaching. But when I go home, I gave myself homework. My homework was to practice application of the acrylic nails, to read the chapters related to nails, because I did not want to be somebody in front of them teaching that did not understand or know what I was talking about. So I was teaching at a young age, licensed at a young age. And so I didn't know everything. I'm in my early 20s. So I got to go back and do some homework. Okay. And so that was my homework for a long time is my spare time when I get home, let me work on my nails. And then I got that down. I said, okay. From there, I said, okay, now I need to work on my skincare, my facials. Didn't know I was going to fall in love with that. And I went back. I loved it. Went back to the hair. And I said, skincare just kind of stayed with me for a while. But I can pretty much open up, teach, apply, or do any of it because I gave myself an opportunity to learn it. Okay. So I hope you guys become open as well as, okay, make a goal. Hey, first quarter is all about hair. I'm going to take a hair class first quarter. Second quarter, I got to make sure I take me a nail class. It could be a seminar. It could be a class at a beauty supply store. And they do have free classes and people come in, nail educators come into beauty supply stores. And I think my students had got a free, they had got like a free entry. Only thing they had to do was show up, free prizes and everything. And then there's so many skin things that could come up. So as you guys begin your career, pace yourself in your license embodies a lot. Okay. So yeah, it is a high emphasis in hair, but don't forget about the nails. Don't forget about the skin, because I can tell you when ends needed to be met and I upgraded to my clients to a facial, especially my guys, it paid the bills. Of course, I was in a salon setting. I couldn't do much. And I was doing the facial, the mini facial in the chair, but still it brought in income. And I would set goals every week to how much money I wanted to make outside of my booth rent. Okay. And if I would track, if I'm not there by Friday, I know Saturday, I got to make sure. And really, Saturday is the last minute. By Wednesday, I'm tracking to see what I need to do to make sure I hit my goal. And those were just personal challenges I would set for myself, and I would celebrate those because I literally would hit those goals on Fridays and Saturdays. Now, somebody could have told me that I didn't have to be in a salon all my life, all day, 12, 13 hours to make the money. But I think, as we grow, we evolve. And that's what the industry does. It evolves. So I want you guys to go out into the industry and allow it to evolve you. Okay. Remain teachable. Yes, I have an emphasis in hair, but let's not forget that my license also covers nails and it also covers skin. And so you're able to go across the board to really build income. Okay. So let's look at our first video here. Why study liquid and powder nail enhancements? And then we'll move on. Let's see. I want to say ebook. Yeah, we'll move on to our second video, which is a one color liquid and powder overlay, and then we'll go back into the ebook. So hold tight. Video number 1 coming up.
I bet you were thinking this doesn't look like much now, but with the right tools, creativity, and training, the sculptor will make this stone a work of art. As a beauty and wellness professional, the nail is your canvas, and liquid and powder nail enhancements can be your tools to help you express yourself creatively. But you're not just creating a great look. Properly prepping, applying, and creating liquid and powder enhancements gives nails a healthier, stronger nail plate. By combining the monomer liquid with a polymer powder, you can really pack a punch. Liquid and powder nail enhancements are frequently requested by clients, but they are much more than just an enhancement. Learning how to provide this service safely gives you a creative edge over your competition. Monomer liquid and polymer powder products are used in 4 ways. On the natural nail as a protective overlay, over a nail tip as a reinforcement, on a form to create a sculpted nail extension, and to create small 3D works of art on top of or inside a nail. Learning liquid and powder nail enhancements allows you to be bold, unique, and create a style that clients will be coming back for over and over again. You'll increase your marketing, and you may even compete in competitions and gain a fan following.
All right, let's see what we got here. That was our first intro. Our primary video for today, and then we're going into our ebooks.
In this segment, we will demonstrate how to apply one-color monomer liquid and polymer powder nail enhancements over tips and on natural nails. This type of enhancement is created using a single color powder. It's perfect for clients who wear nail polish all the time. First, perform the pre-service procedure. Start by pushing back the cuticle. Use a cotton-tipped wooden or metal pusher to gently push back the eponychium. Then, carefully remove excess cuticle tissue from the nail plate. If you are applying nail tips, use a 180 grit abrasive or higher to shape the free edges of the natural nails so they match the shape of the nail tip to the stop point. Now, gently remove the surface shine on the natural nail with a medium to fine 240 grit abrasive. Take care not to overfile the nail plate. Use a clean, dry nail brush to remove any dust from filing. Then, cleanse the nails with a surface cleanser and lint-free wipe. Now, apply a nail dehydrator to the nails, beginning with the little finger on the left hand and working towards the thumb.
Once you've prepped the nails, be careful not to touch them again. Doing so may deposit oils from your own fingers and degrade the cleanliness of the client's nails.
If your client requires nail tips, apply them according to the nail tip application procedure. Cut the tips to the desired length and shape. Now that you've prepped the nail surface, apply primer according to the manufacturer's directions, only to the exposed natural nail and not on the tips if they are used. Be sure to allow the primer to dry thoroughly. Acid-based primer will dry to a chalky white, whereas acid-free primer will be sticky and shiny when it dries.
You want to be very careful not to let the primer touch the client's skin. Since primer is fluid, if too much is applied to the nail, it can run down the lateral folds of the nail and get underneath the nail. If the chemicals in the primer get trapped near the hyponychium for a long time, this can lead to an allergic reaction or even damage the hyponychium seal, which is what holds the nail to the nail bed. To avoid this, make sure you release all excess primer from the brush before touching the brush to the nail plate.
Prepare the monomer liquid and polymer powder by pouring them into separate dappen dishes.
The best brush to use for monomer liquid and polymer powder nail enhancements is a natural hair brush made of sable, Kolinsky, or a blend of the two. These hairs naturally absorb liquid to ensure your brush is able to hold the monomer. The cuticle on these hairs are very tight and smooth, so the wet polymer slides off the brush easily and the product does not get stuck in the hairs. Be sure to wipe your brush in one direction when cleaning it on your table towel. Using a back and forth motion can break the hairs off at the ferrule. If you take great care of your brush by gently removing all of the polymer powder from it after each use and bring it to a sharp point before storing, a good quality Kolinsky sable brush can last 5 or more years.
Dip the brush into the monomer liquid and gently release excess liquid on the edge of the dish. This will give you the correct amount of monomer needed to pick up a perfect polymer powder bead. Dip the tip of the brush into the polymer powder to pick up a bead of product.
Remember, the perfect bead should be round and shiny. For this procedure, you want your bead to have a medium to dry consistency. It shouldn't be running or wet. It should also be large enough to shape the entire free edge of the extension, or it may be easier to shape if you apply the free edge in 2 smaller beads.
Place the bead in the center of the free edge of the tip or natural nail, and immediately wipe your brush gently on a lint-free disposable towel to remove any product left in the bristles. Bring the brush back to a perfect point. Now, using middle portion or belly of your brush, press and smooth the bead to shape the enhancement's free edge. Don't paint the bead onto the nail. Use a pressing and smoothing motion to produce a more natural look. Avoid widening the tip of your brush beyond the natural width of the nail, and be sure to keep the sidewall lines parallel. Now, pick up a second bead. Place it on the nail plate below the first bead, next to the free edge line in the center of the nail. Immediately wipe your brush gently on a lint-free disposable towel to remove any product left in the bristles, and then bring the brush back to a perfect point. Again, using the middle portion or belly of your brush, press and smooth the second bead to the sidewalls, keeping the product very thin around the edges. Place a small bead near the base of the nail plate and tap the product up towards the eponychium. Be sure to leave a tiny free margin between the product and the skin. Immediately wipe your brush gently on a lint-free disposable towel to remove any product left in the bristles. Use your brush to press and smooth the bead over the nail plate. Glide the brush over the nail to smooth out imperfections.
Make sure you don't place the product too close to the skin, as this may lead to several complications. First, if the product touches the client's skin, the client could develop a skin irritation or an allergic reaction. Second, the closer the product is to the skin, the more difficult it will be to file or blend to make it level with the natural nail. Filing close to the skin increases the risk of irritating the client's skin or cutting her with your abrasive. If you can't blend the product down completely, it may lead to lifting.
Evaluate your work, and if needed, apply more product to create a smooth surface. Be sure to keep the product thin around the lateral folds and eponychium for a more natural-looking nail and to avoid lifting. Use a medium 180 to 150 grit abrasive to shape the free edge and remove any imperfections. Then, refine the surface with a medium to fine grit abrasive. Now, use a fine grit buffer on the nail enhancement until the entire surface is smooth. Remove any dust from the filing with a clean, dry nail brush. Apply nail oil to the skin around the enhancement and massage it in to speed penetration. Make sure the client washes her hands with soap and water at the hand washing station, or clean the nails over a finger bowl with a nail brush. Rinse the hands with clean water after washing to remove any soap residue. Dry the hands thoroughly. Apply hand cream and massage into the hand and arm. Refer to the hand and arm massage segment for step-by-step instructions. After completing the massage, remove all traces of the lotion and oil from the nail plate. Cleanse nails with a surface cleanser and lint-free wipe. Finish by polishing the nail enhancements. And present the finished look to your client. Now, perform the post-service procedure.
All right, so we've had our intro into liquid and powder. We know what our one color overlay looks like. Now that we've had that opportunity, let's go into our ebook. Let's get some notes done. Your ebook is gonna be your best friend, ladies. As we intro into this, we won't keep you long, but I am gonna just do a light intro and then navigate into the link for the domestic violence certification. And you can start working on that immediately. Also, send that over to me. think I have to stop sharing and pick it back up again. Okay. All right. Let's look at some of our objectives. Of course, we're always going to explain why the cosmetologist should learn more about monomer and polymer. Those are two terms already that you'll need to know. The monomer is the liquid. The polymer, P for powder, liquid and powder, liquid and powder. That's how we create acrylic nails. Monomer, already we're looking at a term. Monomer is the liquid. Polymer is the powder, P for P, okay? Describe liquid and powder nail enhancement chemistry. So we're going to go a little technical into the chemistry aspect of it. And it's really just talking about ingredients, okay? Identify liquid and powder nail enhancement supplies. What are some of the things we use to make it happen? Okay, and then we're going to describe 2 ways to create nail art using liquid and powder. All right. How do they build this artistic look with liquid and powder? And then we'll also outline the processes of liquid and powder nail enhancement, maintenance, and removal. This is going to be very important when we come to the maintenance and removal because I've seen that it's text exam. So number 5 is going to be one of those key ones you do want to highlight because when you get to lesson objective 5, you're probably going to see that again. Let's bookmark as well. We're going to use yellow for highlighting today. This is why study liquid and powder nail enhancements. Although you're going for a cosmetology degree, as I've told you, cosmetology covers hair, skin, and nails, okay? We need to understand that hair, skin, and nails are considered appendages of the skin, okay? So if we're gonna talk anything related to skin, we have to talk hair, we have to talk skin, and we have to talk nails. So as we begin to close out this text, we have to close out with the last appendage, which is nails, okay? And now those nails go and they can be enhanced. Let's highlight here in yellow. It says, in other words, ooh, let me go yellow. Acrylic is a very general term for a large group of ingredients. The 2-part monomer, that's liquid and polymer powder enhancement system, in this text is referred to as liquid and powder nails, all right? However, keep in mind that other industry literature, product marketing, and the like may continue to use the word acrylic. The word acrylic is how we identify, over the years, nail enhancements. Nail enhancement could be a new word, okay? Most of the time people do not say, oh, I want to go into the shop, let me get liquid and powder nail enhancement. People don't say that, okay? That's just a technical term for us for the purpose of learning. But that is liquid and powder enhancement is translated into, let me get a full set of acrylic nails. Let me get acrylic nails, all right? That's simply what that means. So when you see liquid and powder enhancements, nail enhancements, that's simply acrylic. What could be some of the reasons why they're trying to separate it? Because there's so many different types of nail enhancements now. And it was originally just a major one of acrylic, okay? But liquid and powder, they would still use that term acrylic, but they do have nail enhancements that are fiberglass, okay? They have gel nail enhancements. And a lot of us have pretty much only experienced just the top coat and the gel polish, okay? The top coat and the gel polish. And let me just say this, the term shellac is an actual company. It is a name brand, but a lot of people pick up the term and use it and say, I want shellac nails. Well, no, shellac is a company. It's a company that actually sells gel polish, okay? So some people have confused it as I want my nails out shellac. I've said it before, okay? But shellac is just one of when gel nails became popular, they were just around, you know? They kind of out the gate just kind of got everybody going. It was there and everybody started buying it and purchasing. So it became shellac nails. You guys know how things evolve really, really quickly, but shellac is a brand name. We're still talking about gel nails, okay? And so there's gel build. You can actually take the gel to build the nail, okay? There's actual gel to build the nail. And then there's actual like a gel like polish, okay? That gives you the look of the nail, of a gel nail. So many people would do both. That's why they get kind of expensive. They would do the acrylic and then they would go with gel polish, okay? And gel top coat. And some people would just go with gel top coat. And I've seen that where they would try to sell, oh, this is gel nails. No, it is acrylic nails, liquid and powder, and you use a gel top coat that gave the illusion. And this, a lot of people started educating themselves because they were trying to charge more, like they were had gel nails, but they did not. Okay, they only had polish, and so individuals now who say, hey, I want a gel nail system, that system it costs way more than acrylic nail system. It has a stronger durability. It's almost like glass on the nails. And this also is a cousin to like a fiberglass nail as well, kind of like the stuff from the windshields and things like that. Like people literally have that on their nails, and that could be very heavy and hurt if you break, you know, just kind of careless and break a nail, bend a nail. It very, very painful. Okay. And so they're starting to separate the different types of nails. So this particular system, we would always say acrylic, but as you begin to teach, you need to break down what acrylic is. It is a monomer and polymer mix. All right. Monomer and polymer mix. So they're just ensuring that you know exactly what it is. Today's powders are monomers. Powders are polymers. P for P. They come in so many different colors. So many different colors. Traditionally, it's been clear, natural, pink, and white. Okay, traditional. But now you can get, instead of using a polish, you can just choose your powder. Okay. And here's a cool tip too. In choosing, if you want to make up a powder, for me, I like to use clear and mix my glitters with it. So now I have a glittery acrylic, or I would use my like natural powders. And then I would add color to it. Okay. You can use your clear powder too and add color to it, color powder, two of those together. And a lot of times, many individuals, they will use different pigments and things like that. So that's simply all that it is. Okay. Many individuals like to do that because they don't want to have polish. They don't want polish to chip. And so they just like using an acrylic colored acrylic, and then they would go with a top coat on top. And that's it. Okay. So there's many different powders. With the powders, you can create different designs. You can create different, you can mix and have a multitude of different colors, even those to match the client's nail bed. So the powder is really the star when it comes to liquid and powder enhanced nail enhancements. The powder is really the star because you can do a lot with the powder. The liquid allows the product to move, and it has those attributes included that allows the product to stick and stay. Okay, we're gonna firm up, we're gonna build up. So that's where the liquid comes in. We always have this question here, what are the benefits? What the cosmetologist benefit how in learning and understanding of the liquid and powder enhancements? And this is what we want to highlight. How, why does it benefit you? Okay. You're going to be familiar with it when you service clients. Remember, salons and full service salons, honestly, when clients come in for a service, whether it's hair, skin, and nails, you should want to be in a place where it's a full service, where all of the money, let's talk business for a minute, stays within that building. A lot of times when we were in open concept salons and we had people next to us working, we worked individually, but we also worked as a team. Because if I could not do a service and you could do a service, I would recommend somebody in the building. Okay. The gist is the hard part is when the client has to go outside of the salon and get another salon service. What guarantees that they're going to come back into the salon? That's too much for them going back and forth. And so this is where you have a culture of full service salons where now we have a manicurist on hand. We have a facialist, an esthetician on hand, somebody that does eyebrows, lashes. We have somebody that does hair. We're all building a team. And when you can get them in and upsell within the salon, everybody eats. Okay, which is a reason why a lot of individuals want to go back to open concept salons where you're probably booth renting, but you have a team of individuals that you can learn from, you can see, and they're not in suites. Okay. And when individuals initially went to suites, they kind of close themselves off. So if you don't perform the service, the client just goes out and finds somebody else that does it. And when they do that, you really don't have an eye on whether they'll come back into the salon and get your services. So we used to love the open concept salon, and I knew Miss Mabel was amazing at brows, okay? And I knew I had the hair component, and every now and then I could have the skin. I knew Vanessa was great in skincare as well. I knew Miss Ella was amazing in like perms, relaxers, and perms, jerry curls, and things like that. So what I could do, and if someone brought somebody, they were bringing business into the salon, and we could handle more than one person at a time. It was a team. And then we always made sure everybody was good. So just like super, super amazing. And we worked as a team. We had a nail station, and I've done nails, I've done skin, I've done hair, all in the same salon because I was building my clientele and I did what I had to do to get clients in the chair to meet my goal. And most of the time, when I didn't have a hair client, I upsell skincare clients. And if I had a client in the chair that said, "Oh, I just need just a regular manicure before I go in," I would give them that little manicure, okay? And it would upsell and just added more value with me as a stylist, a professional cosmetologist. All right, as you move into terminology, this is the breakdown of your term, one particular term that we have, and it is liquid and powder enhancements. As I told you before, monomer, M equals liquid, polymer equals powder, okay? Mono means one, poly means many, okay? So it's just a breakdown of that. This is going to be a part of your check-in questions. Monomer liquid and polymer powder products are used in 4 ways. On natural nails as a protective overlay, so it protects your natural nails. Over a nail tip as reinforcement, so it's going to strengthen the nail tip. On a form to create a sculptured nail, so you're designing your own nail. This is a sculptured nail. And then to create small works of art, this is why we use it. It can be used instead of polish or paint. You can use acrylic as a form of nail art. And many times on the nails, you've seen sculptured roses, flowers, just different things at bows, but they've used acrylic as a form of art. So really channeling their artistic point of view. Okay. As we talk about the brush, it's a natural brush. I prefer a sable brush. Remember, you'll see that word again Sable brush. Okay. The brush is dipped into the monomer, dipped into the liquid. All right. As we press the brush to the side, it dispenses the liquid. It still holds liquid, but all the excess goes back down into the container. Then you will dip it into the powder. The powder will clench itself. It's attracted to the liquid. And as you move the brush, it becomes just it circles around and attaches itself to the liquid. You would take whatever that attachment is, whether it's a ball, and then you would then put it on the nail. And from putting it, you will just continue to model it like a builder. You'll build it into the nail that you desire. We have to be careful about the liquid because the liquid really could get us in a little trouble based on our state boards, okay? Liquids that have a high smell content where it smells like, alcohol, it makes you cough, it does all of this. It may contain what we call MMA, okay? MMA has been known to be hazardous, to people breathing. So a lot of times you'll say, man, my nails have last longer, they're harder. Like, what did they use? Sometimes they could have used a liquid that had MMA. Even though it gives you an effective, hard, long-lasting nail, it also may be harmful for you. Like if you put your nail in your mouth, you begin to taste like the fumes of that product. And some people that have breathing issues, asthma, things of that nature. So as you're performing it, it could irritate their respiratory system. So we want you to have no MMA. It's not recommended. This is why sometimes nail shops have the back door open or the front door open because they're using it and probably not supposed to be using, but it allows them to work fast. It hardens fast. And so they want you to use products that are EMA, okay, which is what we call odorless. Yes, it takes a little bit more time, but your client's health is not going to be affected, okay? EMA is what you also have to take the state board. And when it's time to purchase that, I'll let you know. You also have to take it to state board because you have to show a nail enhancement. Okay. You have to show a nail enhancement. And when we move into our practical component, that's what we're going to be working on. So we'll take EMA to state board and make sure that we are not using MMA. Just a note. I also highlighted that section on and bookmark on page 978. Highlighting the terms, polymerization, we need to know that. Catalyst, you definitely need to know that. Benzoyl peroxide, we're going to talk about these. So you said, Ms. Cox, what makes all of this, what makes it hard? All right. Polymerization. When something polymerizes, it circles around, it grabs, okay? It could be a part of a chemical process too. It smooths, it hardens, okay? Polymerization. Monomers are turned into polymer powders through a chemical process called polymerization that links monomers to create very long chains since the process turns the liquid into a solid. So polymerization naturally happens when you take the liquid and you take the brush and you dip it into the powder. Okay, you take the liquid and you dip it into the powder. And as I told you before, you have the powder that is attracted to the liquid. Once it's attracted to the liquid, it starts to link together. We call it forms a ball, it forms this, but it does form a link. It gets linked in, okay? It gets linked in. and it is getting ready for the hardening process. The more liquid you use, the more runny this will be. The less liquid, the harder that it will start to form. The sooner it will start to form. But when this happens and you put it on a nail, as you begin to shape and build this nail, it is smoothing out. Okay. The liquid, the monomer, causes it to smooth out. This is why you find them dipping the brush more into the liquid to help soften this nail, to spread it out. All right. Think about when you get your makeup done and you have the setting sprays, polymerization, it sets. Okay. Polymerization, the LED, you put your clients in under the gel light. Okay. Also, polymerization, you take your client hand and you put it by the fan. Curing, you put them under the light at the station. It's under the light. That's curing. Okay. It's causing a curing or hardening process. So once the liquid and the powder comes together, you apply it to the nail and you start to pull it out. It is automatically starting to harden. Okay. It's automatically starting to. They call it polymerization. I want you, based on the manufacturers, what make companies different, they may do different shelf life, different color abilities. They may mix and match different things. A lot of times we like to say it's all the same thing. Yeah. Hey, I don't know how we dropped off, but I'm glad y'all are still on. Hold on one moment. Okay. So polymerization is the curing. This is when the nail starts to smooth out in the liquid and powder process. When they come together, the building of the nail, this is where this folds out. I was telling you that manufacturers, each manufacturer has something different, and they really want you to use these as systems. Okay, using separate things is amazing, but when we're charging clients, we want to use systems so we can trace back what's working, what's not working, if this nail fell off, why it fell off, and things of that nature. We want to hold these manufacturers accountable. I also want you to look at what I have in yellow. The key word is catalyst. Okay. You have catalysts that they add to your plates, your dishes for them to harden. You have catalysts that they add when you go get porcelain teeth, when you get your teeth rebuilt. That's a catalyst. It's really an acrylic, okay, that has a catalyst in it that makes it, zip fast. It works. It cures. Before you turn around, it's already set where it's supposed to be. Okay, that's a catalyst. Catalysts can be found in every area of life. Okay, but these acrylic powders and liquids have catalysts in them. It's something that makes it go faster. Okay, so this is why by the time I'm finished applying my nails on one hand and I move to the next, I'm already dry. Which is why when we do polishing, if I was doing regular polishing, I would polish one hand, move over to the next. I'm already getting dry, which is why if I was doing gel, put my hands underneath, and by the time that little buzzer go off, it looks amazing. It's dry. Everything has some form of catalyst in it. Catalyst cut time, speeds up the service, cuts time, but it allows the product to work. Okay, it's like an activator. You know, if it wasn't a catalyst, we'll take a long time getting this done. Okay, long time. Spritz, hairspray, those are catalysts as well. All right. Benzoyl peroxide, the same ingredient used in over-the-counter acne medicine. That's what I wanted to tell you about. I'm gonna go to green on here. All right, initiators. It's not in bold, but initiators, page 979. In polymer powder, when activated by a catalyst, will spring into action and cause the molecules to permanently link. Now we have a hard nail. Okay. Initiators added to polymer powders is called benzoyl peroxide. We use this in acne products, guys. We use this in facials and cleaners to bring blackheads and whiteheads and stuff like that up to a head. Okay, so it has a fast reaction. So they're using it in nails to get the job done, to bring the hardening process up really, really fast. Okay, it's not a lot that is in the powders, but it's definitely in, and it helps with the curing. Okay, helps even out a surface. So when we use it in nails, it helps even out a surface. When we use it in skincare, it helps treat acne. It's gonna bring all the impurities up to the surface. It's fast. It's an initiator. It acts like it's a fast working. It's like bleach. Bleach product you would put on the hair. If you put it on the hair, boom, it's fast. Also, there are catalysts in bleach. So it's catalyst in a lot of things, in a lot of things, okay? Especially things that we deal with hair, skin, and nails. And I'm just glad you guys are getting introduced to it on the nail compartment. All right. So I just wanted to share that with you. We introed into this chapter. Okay. Completed lesson 2. I want you guys to finish reading this chapter, and I'm gonna stop share. You're gonna finish reading that, and I'm also going to send over the link for the domestic violence certification. And if you haven't done this, I just want you to do this today for homework. Let me add you on. And as I told you with Tennessee, you do have to have the domestic violence certification. Okay. After we finish the nail chapters, we are going to stay back into infection control next week. So you're going to see this website again. Okay. So I went to barberside.com, barberside.com, barberside.com. I'm going to copy this. We'll put it in the chat. Okay. Once you go to barberside.com, don't worry about the certifications this week. We're going to do our certifications for Barberside next week. But you need to go to the Sure Haven Domestic Violence Training. Let's go ahead and get that out the way. We are so close to getting to state board. We got to make sure this is done. Here's the thing, you guys. You're going to keep a copy and you're going to send me a copy. All right? And once you click domestic violence, the Sure Haven domestic violence training, you're going to complete this 30-minute training. Okay. You're going to print the 30-minute training. You're going to do the 30-minute training. When you are finished, it is going to provide you with a certificate of completion. Okay. You want to keep that. You want to keep it in email and then forward it over to me, dcicosmo@gmail.com. Gonna print it and put in your folder. Okay. And this is crazy how it's the law. It's the law. Um, and the state has mandated cosmetologists, barbers, esthetician, manicures to go through domestic violence training. And you may say, why? Well, guys, a lot of things happen in barbershops and salons. We see a lot of people. Don't you know that your clients confide in you more than they would confide in their family? We know life be life before the family. Real details. So they said, where do these people go? They go into salons and spas. So we see a large amount of people. So when us trafficking having that kind of traffic to come through our salons and barbershops and spas, where we are the essential ones to see the warning signs, see things, and then offer resources. That's simply what this training is about, to educate you and to begin a reference of resources that you can help clients. And let me tell you, I've had clients, that it was very, very touchy. They look normal, but when I got over to the shampoo, they laughed and stuff. And then when you got over to the shampoo bowl and got the shampooing, the tears will fall down. You know, you're shampooing their hair and they can barely, you're feeling the lumps and bumps on their scalp. I mean, literally, I've had those moments. And so, yeah, we see them. We literally see them. So they want you to be equipped with resources, have a general understanding, whether you are able to share something that helps save their life. It comes through the beauty industry. We see a lot of people, okay? And so they would say, well, how do we get this information to the people? Well, we take it to the beauty industry. People want to look good and they want to feel good. And it has been found that no matter what's going on in their life, they will come to the beauty salon. They will come to the barbershop. Okay. And so the state mandates that we complete this training every time that we get a license and renew a license. So your initial license, you got to have the training. And then when you renew the license, after you've been licensed like 2 years, and you go to renew your license, you need to revisit this again. Now, unless they change the state law, that's when you don't have to do it. All right. But until then, we're going to we're going to get our domestic violence training. And it's good to have this on the wall, even if it's just an unspoken message. Man, my hairdresser has went through domestic violence training. Maybe she know of a shelter. Maybe she know of resources, and we don't have to get in anybody's business. Maybe they know counselors. But what happens, you begin to have information that you can pass on. You never have to discuss it. But there's also a company called Cut It Out, Look Good, Feel Good. All of those companies those nonprofits have pamphlets that you could just set stuff on the counter. And so it's like an unspoken resource. So we're going to make sure we have this. And so if you are new, please make sure you complete this as an assignment tonight before we move in any further. And so it's in the chat, but I need to send something via email. I need to send a clock hour via email. But I'm excited. We clock our last theory hour tomorrow for P, and we're excited about it. We're gonna celebrate you. And all ladies, that's all we have as an intro. We're going to literally pick back up